Welcome back. My name's Joanne, and today I have my August palette ranking video. So I have 10 palettes to share with you guys. This is actually kind of hard. I mean, I did this kind of quickly, but also it was kind of hard near the top. Like, not gonna lie. I do love basically every single one of these palettes, so it's just based on personal preference, color story, formula, like all that kind of stuff. I mean, I do like all the formulas, but just some more than others. So let's just get into this palette ranking. So, oh yeah, also how I do mine is I just rank all the palettes I use in a month, whether they're new or they're older in my collection or whatnot. So I'm gonna start with my number 10 palette, and don't come for me, okay? Don't come for me for the fact that this is at the bottom of the list, but it is my Adept Cosmetics Minka palette. So this is gonna look a little different than it normally does because I rearranged mine. So normally there are two purple mattes here, but I just took those out and replaced them with a couple shimmers. I think I want to put this back to how it was. The reason why this palette is ranking so low, even though it is gorgeous, it's such a pretty palette, it's because these shimmers are just so intense. Like, the sparkle particles are very big and they're just not my everyday type of thing. Like, maybe for like special occasions like New Year's or whatnot, I will be using this more, but for what I like this kind of shimmer for like my everyday, you know, like a little bit of sparkle, but like it's like a finer particle. This is their newest palette, by the way. But yeah, so this is sadly ranking in the bottom spot at number 10. So number 9 is the Kaleidos Quad. This is, I believe, the Cold Brew Quad. I wish they had names on the back. And this is what that one looks like. It's literally just a neutral brown quad. And the reason why this is ranking higher than that one is because the shimmer is just like a finer sparkle. And the reason why this is ranking so low though is because, I mean, it has 4 shades. It has 3 mattes and 1 shimmer. There's not a ton of variety in here. Obviously you can go different depths with your look. It's gonna be a brown look, you know, and I love my neutrals, but I still like having a little bit of variety. I feel like I'd be fine with just these 3 mattes, but just a little more variety in the shimmers, I would have been fine. Like, just add a couple more shimmers in this and I would be happy. I really enjoy this formula. These mattes are super pigmented and blendable. The shimmer is very sparkly, very shiny, and I would be interested in trying more from Kaleidos, but just none of the other quads have piqued my interest really. So this is in the number 9 spot. And number 8 is the new Natasha Denona mini Starlit palette. So I mean, you can see it through the clear, but here's what it looks like. This is obviously a quintet. It only has 5 shades. I really enjoy the Natasha Denona formula. I just recently started using it with the Yucca palette being my first one, and I find her formula to be very nice. The mattes are very blendable. They're more of a buildable formula, and her shimmers aren't like super special like indie shimmers, except for the Yucca palette. The Yucca palette, those shimmers are sparkly and just gorgeous. I will say in this one, there's one super sparkly one, which is Galaxia. Oh, also, these are all pre-existing shades in her collection. So if you have these shades, I don't think this would be necessary to have. I don't have much from her, but I do like how there are 2 different shimmers to have a little bit more variety. So there's one that's more sparkly and one that's more of just the normal metallic type of shimmer. Again, I really like the matte formula. These 2 mattes are kind of similar though to me. This palette doesn't go super deep, but this is really easy to reach for and just create a super quick look. The reason why this is ranking at number 8 is because it's a 5-pan. There's not a ton of variety in it. You kind of get the same looks over and over again. That's the only reason for this ranking lower. And number 7 is my Viseart Cashmere palette, and this is what that one looks like. I really enjoy the formula of Viseart. They're more of again a buildable formula. They're also decently pigmented. Like, I really enjoy them. The only thing is the shimmers are more of that metallic type of formula, and again, I prefer sparkly formula. That's really the only reason why this is lower than all the other palettes. So the only reason that this is ranking lower than my other palettes is because it's the shimmers. The metallics aren't super sparkly like I prefer. And the mattes, I don't know, there's not like a ton of variety in here. I feel like I wish there was kind of like a brown in between this lighter one and this deeper one. And like I feel like these two shimmers aren't necessary to both be in the same palette. I just dug my finger into that dark brown. I also feel like these two bronzy shimmers aren't necessary to have in the same palette. So if one of those could be taken out and have like a little bit more of like a mid-tone brown for me, that would be nice. But other than that, I really do enjoy this palette and the formula. I just don't know if I would pick up more Viseart palettes just because of my shimmer preference. So my 5th place palette is the Sigma Ambiance palette. This is my first ever Sigma makeup that I've tried, and this is what it looks like. It's literally just a warm brown neutral palette. The reason why this is ranking higher than my other palettes is because there's more variety. Like, yeah, you could argue that Oasis and Summer Solstice are kind of similar, and like a couple of the shimmers are a little similar, and they're not all super sparkly, but like they do have like Marigold is so pretty, oh my god, and I really just like the variety. Like these two dark mattes I feel like weren't really necessary. I do like having this cream shade to just help blend anything out that I need. And yeah, overall I do really enjoy this formula. Sigma's mattes are pigmented, but they're very blendable. I really enjoy this, and I would be interested in trying more palettes from them. My 6th place palette is the new Natasha Denona I Need a Nude palette. And I'm sure you already know what this looks like. You know, it's been making its rounds, but this is what it looks like in case you haven't seen it. I really enjoy this palette. I mean, this ranked highest out of all of my neutral palettes. So now you know all of my other palettes are basically colorful palettes. I really enjoyed this. This is more of like a neutral tone, like muted, just everyday type of palette. I will say these shimmers aren't as good as the ones in the Yucca palette, just for my preference, except for Muse. Muse is gorgeous, so pretty, amazing. And the mattes, again, buildable, very blendable. These are very easy to use, very beginner friendly mattes and shimmers. I would say they're not too intense, they get the job done. I think they're still really pretty though. I'm really excited to keep trying this one. Well, not really trying this one out because I kind of have my thoughts already. There's a piece of hair somewhere stuck. I'm really excited to keep using this and to see what she comes out with next, and maybe get some of her older palettes as well. This was actually kind of hard for me to decide on. So my 4th place palette is the Odin's Stone and Rock palette. I got this, I think, right when it launched, so it's been a little bit, but I just recently tried it for the first time last month. Girl, this is so nice. Oh my god. I have both of their Christmas palettes that were limited edition, and I also have their Solmana 2 palette, and this is so nice. The mattes, they're a buildable and blendable formula, and these shimmers, oh my god, they are sparkly. They just bring happiness. They're just so pretty, and I love the color story. It's very fall-esque. The greens, this mustardy brown right here. I do like how we have a couple different dark options. There's the dark green and then the black. Overall, I really like this palette. I just preferred the color stories or the formulas of the other palettes more than this, but this is so nice. So very nice. My 3rd place palette is the Bella Beauté Bar The Sun and the Sea palette. This is what it looks like. It's so pretty. Oh my god. Bella Beauté Bar has quickly become one of my favorite brands. I mean, these are so sparkly, and they're a little bit more of like a thicker, creamy type of formula. So I find they do crease on me a little, but it's not too bad. I mean, it's not that big of a deal for me. I think what really put this over the Odin's Eye palette for me is the blues. Blue is my favorite color. I love blues. I will say a couple of these shimmers, like these 3 shimmers, I feel like are a little repetitive. Like they're a little different, but like could have been a little more different, you know. And then these 2 matte browns are a little similar too. I do wish this palette had like a black or just like a super deep brown or something, because this deep brown isn't super deep, and I really like having the option to go very deep just to deepen that outer corner. How many times am I going to say that word? Overall, I love this palette. They're mattes, they're pigmented, they're blendable, they're amazing. They're like soft and I just really enjoy them. I did order their new Basic Witch palette along with the Best Mattes palette in collaboration with Brittany Huffman and Ellie Starr. And I'm really excited for both of those to get to me just to play with the brand some more. But yeah, so this is my third place palette. And then my second place palette might look a little familiar because it was in the ranking last month, but it is my Glaminatrix Nearly Natural palette. Yes, there is something that beat this out. It was the hardest decision, I swear. I'm like, I do think I made the right decision though. Sadly, you can no longer get this palette. It's been discontinued because Glaminatrix no longer hand presses their shadows. They're machine pressed now with a company. So they discontinued this palette, which is so sad because it's so pretty. Oh my god. I really like how this is more of like a neutral colorful palette. You have like the pinky mauves and like that purple, you got the green, but then you have all these neutrals. These two are kind of similar. This one's a little bit more of a pink toned than this one, but I feel like we only needed one of those in this palette. I really enjoy this palette, obviously, and I am very excited to get more use on it. And that just leaves my number one palette for the month of August. I do have a first impressions on this palette on my channel, and that's the Gourmand Girls and Doodles by the Bunny Nightshade palette. This color story is gorgeous, just amazing. I mean, I always want to pick up this palette and just use it. I wish I didn't buy new palettes so I could just keep using this one. I would say Gourmand Girls, their mattes are more of that buildable formula, but they blend so easily, and their shimmers, they're a little bit more of like a thinner formula, kind of like the Odin's Eye formula, but they're so sparkly and shifty and just I don't know what that noise was. But yeah, I think my favorite shade is the shade Flowering, which is the shade that really drew me into this palette. It's just like this yellow base with like a blue and purplish pink shift. It's so pretty. This whole palette is just speaks to me, and again, I always want to reach for it, and I may have already reached for it this month. Yeah. Anyways, I love this so much. I mean, this beat out my Glaminatrix palette, so it says a lot. I can see Gourmand Girls being a new favorite brand. I mean, they basically are. I do have the Spooked palette that I want to try out this month, and I am planning on getting their new Haunted palette. It's so pretty. It's literally just like a grungier version of this palette, and Brittany from Brittany Ray, she said it really well in her first impressions of the Haunted palette, and it's kind of like this and the Spooked mixed, which I do see that. And it's just, again, a more grungy version of this palette, which I love this color story. It's so pretty. I am so excited to keep using it and just create fun looks. That was a lot of talking, but with that being said, that's all I have for this video. Those are all the palettes I used in August. Let me know if you've used any of them, if you own any of them, if you're interested in any of them. Let a girl know down in the comments, and I hope you enjoyed. If you did enjoy it, I would really appreciate it if you liked the video and subscribe to my channel, especially if you love indie makeup, especially eyeshadows, because that's what I love most in my makeup routine. Plan on doing a lot of eyeshadow content on this channel. But yeah, so with that being said, I hope you have a great day, a great night, whatever time it is for you, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.